Hi, are you looking for a white bread recipe that checks all the boxes, is economical to make, easy to make, doesn't make a huge mess, makes excellent regular sandwiches, toast, French toast, grilled cheese, and can even wrap around a hot dog in a pinch if you need it to? Well, I have that recipe, and today we're gonna make it. So first thing first is we're gonna activate our yeast. And I have this recipe narrowed down to the point where when I'm cleaning up after it, it's very minimal cleanup. Because I have 2 kids that run around and I am busy. So the less I have to clean after a recipe, the better. So let me start off by saying that I'm gonna be putting the yeast and all the ingredients together in one pot. And this is my KitchenAid mixer pot, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take 2 tablespoons of the commercial yeast that I buy at the big box store. Okay, and I'm just using a regular spoon. Doesn't have to be crazy accurate. 1, 2. And then to activate it, we're just gonna use 1 cup of lukewarm water, okay? And I'll pour that in. And while that's activating, I just wanna give you a sneak peek at what you're gonna be making, okay? So this is the loaf of bread that my family has been eating all week. You see, this is about the time when I start to make more, is when we get to the end of the second loaf. And this is gonna make 3 pounds of bread. So that lasts about a week for us, but we eat a lot of bread, okay? But you can see, like, look how, this is a couple days out and it's still really soft. So I think you're gonna like it. But I'm gonna let this soak for a couple more minutes and I'll be right back. So at this point, the yeast and the water have been sitting together for a few minutes. They're activated. I'm ready to put in the rest of my ingredients. So I just added a 1/2 cup of olive oil, but you can use your preferred fat of choice, whatever you want. I like the taste of olive oil, and you don't really taste it in the bread anyway, so that's what we use. Nice and healthy. So I used a 1/2 cup measurement for that, and I'm gonna use the same measuring cup. Usually I would do the sugar first and then measure out the olive oil, but I did have to wash it in between because I did the olive oil first by accident. So 1/2 cup of sugar just goes right in. And what I do is, like I said earlier in the video, I do buy all of these ingredients at big box stores like Costco, BJ's, and I just store everything in these 8-quart containers. They've been fantastic. I'll leave a link to them in the bio. But next is the bread flour, which, by the way, these containers also perfectly hold 10 pounds of bread flour. So you'll see I just have a 1 cup measurement that just lives in the container. I make this recipe every single week and have been for weeks. So it's been very useful just to have one designated 1 cup measurement in there waiting for me. So I added the sugar and the olive oil, and now I'm gonna do 8 cups of bread flour, right? As you can see, I'm not being super picky about leveling off, or I'm not measuring in grams or anything. This recipe is pretty forgiving. All right, and at this point we're just gonna add 2 more things. First of all, the rest of the water, which will add 2 more cups of water. And as you can see, it just had water in it. It's going right back in the cabinet. And the other thing we need to add is our salt. So I'll get 2 teaspoons of salt. I use Redmond's real salt. I really like it. The whole family likes it too. It's really good stuff. So literally 1 and 2. All right. So what I'll be doing now is just very loosely stirring it together, just to the point where it kind of starts clumping a bit. And I'll put this on my KitchenAid mixer on low for about 7 minutes. You can absolutely knead this by hand. I've done it. This recipe, you can also use some wheat flour if you want to. I'll kind of leave the directions in the description below, but I will check back with you when this is all kneaded. All right, so it's been about 7-8 minutes. This dough is meant to be really, really workable, very not sticky. So if it is a little sticky, you can always add just a little bit of flour to make it more workable for yourself. So all I'm going to do now is turn it out onto my counter, and I'm going to be letting the dough rise in this bowl as well. So I'm going to get a couple of the little bits around the inside out so they don't cause any sticking later on. And basically I'm just going to give it a couple of folds just to bring it all together. Like I said, this dough is extremely workable. Very, very nice to work with. So my empty bowl, the same olive oil from earlier, and I'm just gonna pour a little bit in, and then rub it all the way up, because it's gonna rise. You know, this is a pretty good size, pretty good amount of dough, so it will rise up and over this pot. Take my dough, right on in, flip it over, and flatten it down a little bit so it kind of rises nice and even. But that's it. So I'll take a damp cloth, just like a kitchen towel like this, and put it over. I was using the wax cloths, the ones for preserving food in the refrigerator. They work fantastic for bread. But I did end up going back to just a wet regular towel because I think my wax thing wore out after a while, which they do. But it'll take a couple hours for this to rise. It's a pretty nice day outside, so I may even put it out there. And I'll see you back in a few. Now that our bread has risen, I'm gonna put them into their loaf pans. Okay, so these are 1.5 pound loaf pans. They're made by USA Pan. Okay, I really like them. And here's our dough all risen. You can see it did come up over the top. I'm just going to dump that out onto my cutting board, but obviously any counter space works fine too. And you can see all the bread came out just fine. So for splitting them up into two, because we're gonna do 2 1.5 pound loaves, I do just kind of eyeball it. That's totally okay. Take my dough scraper and just go down the middle. And sometimes they come out a little uneven, and that's not a problem. I haven't noticed any differences in the baking or anything. It's totally fine. All right, and then I'm gonna shape them for the loaf pans. So I gently kind of squeeze them flat a little bit, roll them up, tuck them under, and then pull towards me. I want it to pull, so I'm gonna put a little bit more flour down. I want to squeeze that seam under the loaf. Okay, and then do it again. Squeeze and pull. Squeeze and pull. We're just making that seam go further underneath. It's gonna be really nice. You'll see. Okay. So there you go. And I simply drop that into my loaf pan. Give it a little squeeze, and then we're gonna do the second one. All right. Gently press. Put it over here so you can see it a little better. Press. Roll up. Tuck those edges down. And pull towards yourself. Oh, it stretches. It's really nice. Nice and easy. Like, why does it have to be hard, you know? Pull towards yourself. And you're gonna see the bubbles on top. Stretch. Okay. Another one. Okay? So that's it. They are shaped and in the loaf pans. And what I'll do now is let them rise, and then guess what? They go into the oven. That's it. I'll see you then. All right, so at this point, it's been about an hour and a half, and as you can see, these loaves are ready for the oven. So what we're gonna do is 350 for about 40 minutes. I will give you an update when we're done. All right, it's been 40 minutes. Here they are. They're all done. Look how good. Enjoy.